Hey everybody, welcome to another good e-reader comparison video. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Today we're going to take a look at the Blackberry Z10 versus the HTC One. Both of these smartphones reflect the latest generation offerings from both devices. Fully touchscreen, we'll get a sense of the specs and look at some of the software. Let's take a look at the Z10. It has a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz processor, whereas the HTC One has a quad-core 1.7 gigahertz processor. They both have about the same amount of RAM, 2 gigs. Storage on a Z10 is 16 gigs by default, but you can expand it up to 64 gigs via the SD card, whereas the HTC One doesn't have expandable memory, and you could either get the 32 or 64 gig model. One of the big differences on this model are the front-facing Beats audio speakers. Pretty well gives you the best smartphone sound quality that I've really ever heard. Whereas with the Z10, you do have front-facing speakers as well, but it's certainly not on the level of the HTC One. Specs aside, you could have the Z10 that has an 8 megapixel rear facing camera, whereas the HTC only has a 4 megapixel, so almost double. The front facing ones are about the same, 2 megapixels on each side. Peter, let's take a look at the main user interface here.
So on the HTC, we have Blink Feed, which is the initial kind of page here that takes up an entire page of the standard Android UI here. So it just has like the latest trending articles, Xbox, Amazon, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And on the Z10, just very basic standard iPhone-esque look. Nothing too crazy here. And then you just have text messages and mail and all that kind of stuff to the left. Core phone functions still exist, even though we don't use our cell phones for calling people much these days. They are still there. So you can dial on both these, add a contact. Very simple things. We're not going to go too much into this because it's very simple, but we're just showing you that this is what it will look like. Here's your contact list, send people messages and all that. So the Blackberry has actually no buttons on the bezel or the screen or anything like the HTC. You actually have to swipe up and then use a lot of gestures to get anything done on there. So let's go into messaging and compare keyboards here. Compile a message. So you can see that you have a little thing here that you can hold and it'll go into the options of what you have. There's no dedicated row for numbers, unfortunately, like the S4 has, because it has a bigger screen to work with, but you can press the numbers to get to them, no problem. And you gotta swipe up to get rid of that.
Resolution on these phones, it's sort of a huge issue. You have the HTC One has 1920 by 1080, and the resolution on the Z10 is 1280 by 768. So you do lose a bit of resolution, and you can see that the phone size is a bit different. The HTC One is a little bit bigger than the Z10, but it's only by like, you know, less than 0.5 inches, so it's fairly negligible. So this is the core difference. You have Android and you have Blackberry 10, which was years in development, heavy emphasis on just being very robust, giving you a better email experience. So with the Z10, for instance, I like the ability to bulk delete emails. It's called delete prior. So for instance, we were in New York for IDPF and Book Expo, and I had received over 1,500 emails over the course of 3 days. On the Z10, it was as easy as clicking delete prior, deleting them all. With Android, you have to manually delete them one by one. Very tedious, very laborious, not a huge fan of it. So standardly, these are mainly the apps that have come bundled on it. And you scroll like this on the HTC One to get a sense of the apps. You have dedicated folders, a lot of Gmail services. You don't really have the type of Gmail or Google services on the Blackberry Z10. You do have their own mapping features, and you could sideload in a number of apps, but any apps that require Google authentication don't work on the Blackberry Z10. Let's take a look at the app experience, because this is sort of going to be your all-in-one destination to get apps. So we'll give you a sense on how this looks versus, say, a Google Play. So this is mainly how it looks on the Z10. You get movies, rent, get audio tracks, and get apps. So Skype, WhatsApp. A lot of apps have been added since we've reviewed this unit last. So obviously Google Play is a little bit more mature in terms of the number of apps available, but also like the UI, user ratings, comments, and feedbacks. Blackberry 10 is rather new, so it is lacking in terms of the content and stuff like that's available, but you can sideload in your own apps. If you're looking to learn more about that, you can check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/goodyreader, for a lot of tutorials on how to sideload load apps in. But if you're looking for a place to get apps from, you can check out our own app store at apps.goodyreader.com. Okay, so let's check out the sound and the video quality, because this is a big reason why you would invest in either of these platforms: to listen to music, to watch movies. So we're going to put on the same video and check things out. So as you could see, I mean, the HTC sound quality hands down is way better than the Blackberry. Primarily the speakers are much larger and Beats audio, so the bass really thumps and everything like that. In the end, what are the main differences between this phone? Well, it's Android versus BB10, and I would say Blackberry does email very well. It also has like the BBM Messenger and all that stuff, so if that is a big thing for you, that's maybe like what you maybe want. Android, of course, everybody knows everything about that. More apps, more versatility, a lot of Google functions. With Blackberry, you don't really get a lot of those Google functions, so it's all a matter of what you want. Between the two, I would probably say the HTC One is the far superior phone, both for screen size, real estate, e-reading experience, for the overall just day-to-day utilities of being able to just do a way more. I think that is very endearing, and you've seen a lot of the things that we've done in the video, so we'll leave you guys to make the ultimate decision on what you like best and the reasons why. Drop us a comment on this video and we'll endeavor to reply to each and every one. And this has been a comparison review of the Blackberry Z10 against the HTC One for goodyreader.com. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.